Hey guys, Luna here, and I'm actually here with a friend of mine, if they would like to introduce themselves.
Hey guys, this is Nemesis here on the Nemesis Project. Just here to join in on a drawing stream or recording.
So, we're each gonna be drawing different things, so if you want to see what they're drawing, go check out their channel, which I'll put in the description below, of course. So,
And on my channel, if you want to see what she's drawing, feel free to go and check from the link in my description below as well.
so this is our both of our first times actually having someone else in our recording, so hopefully it goes out well and you guys enjoy it.
On my end, I'm not necessarily using my drawing program, but this is for fun, so it gives me a little space to doodle.
Yeah. So let's see here. I'm kind of deciding the color palette right now because I'm going to be doing like a generic guard. So I'm thinking like a, because I kind of have a basic idea of like the helmet where it's like a, kind of like the fire, I don't know why, but I'm thinking like Fire Nation kind of aesthetic and I don't know why.
Hmm, interesting. I mean, I never got to see what project you were working on actually.
Yeah, it's something that I'd started working on like a week or two ago. Well, not really a week or two ago, but it's a thing for a visual novel that I have no idea if I'm actually going to try and like release the public or anything like that. But it's a work in progress to say the least.
Hmm. Well, I do look forward to at least taking a peek at it myself, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had this weird thing lately where figure art does a better job of helping me set up a piece more. I don't know why. It does a better job of helping me set up a piece than regular art does. And I don't know why.
I mean, I suppose it's fair. Like,
It's it really doesn't make much sense. It's always given me trouble. And well, there's a lot of contingencies, and I think it has something to do with the digital art prospect, the transition.
oh, really?
Because, for example, when I'm drawing a head shape, I can draw a head shape like normally, and sometimes I don't even have to do the outline.
Yeah.
When I'm doing it in digital, it's a lot easier to do the outline from the top
Hmm.
to bottom, and normally that's never the case. For example, normally when I'm working on something, it's bottom to top. That way I can get a scale of where I'm starting with the head. But the problem is that oftentimes makes me lose track of the angle.
Hmm.
But when I start from the top, it immediately makes me take into account the skull's shape, and it becomes a lot more technical when it comes to the angle, and I'm not entirely sure why.
Yeah. I mean, at least to me, I'm so used to drawing things by hand. When I do things via digital art, I'm just like trying to take into consideration the basic things habits that I've done, just drawing by hand, and it's definitely difficult to go pure online without any like transference of image.
It can be, and it's because there's another thing that is part of the issue, and that's the confidence that you need to transition
Yeah.
for a fun. Because one thing people don't tell you when you're transitioning over to digital is that you don't go in long strokes.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's very much a you know what you're doing, and so what you're doing is you set it up, and then it's very quick, confident, but somewhat segmented strokes.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why that is because it doesn't look natural. It doesn't naturally match the anatomy. When you're working with a pencil, it's much easier to, through layers, find your way through that. But when you're doing it digitally, the layers work, well, literally, you have layers rather than
Yeah.
you drawing what you already have. Oh, wow, that's a bad habit.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work on the base shape of the head right now.
I just switched to my eraser, but I'm not in my drawing program, so that, but I can show you what I have afterwards, but this is also not like a complete drawing. So when you see what I'm doing, it's kind of silly. But that's also why it drives me nuts because after having been doing anatomy for years, switching and having to start from the beginning is morbid.
Yeah.
And it's very strange because it feels like you're doing something completely different.
Yeah, yeah, that's, can imagine that can make it something difficult.
Like, I mean, like I really, really like flare pins.
Ooh.
I love flare pins. Flare pins, especially when you're working with color on a paper. People who are almost illiterate, like mentally illiterate when it comes to anything involving the color theory, like me, I'm horrible at color theory. But when I do color theory on paper, suddenly I look like a philosopher.
That's
Like I know what I'm doing suddenly. And to have to deal with that back and forth, it it's a struggle. I won't deny it. It's definitely a struggle. It's part of why I'm sheepish of um doing a drawing stream. I know I should. I know if I do a drawing stream, I probably will become confident in my pen strokes. But there's also that distinct fear of, wow, I'm going to be sitting here struggling with this piece for a long time when normally I can draw on paper in front of someone and I won't even realize that I had one thing in mind and I made another cool thing. And it's not what I wanted, but it was something cool.
yeah. I've learned just to like go with the flow with all my drawing things and just be like, yeah, if it's good, it's good. People will enjoy it, and um, then more people will potentially like it and get ideas off it. So, kind of just go with that.
It's the difficulty of art theory. Some people have the ability to kind of find their way along the way and just kind of go with it.
Yeah,
Other people have to learn really hard down the road, and it really does vary depending on the individual. I learned that very quickly.
yeah. And sometimes you just need to have that first step of confidence of not caring either.
That can be hard to do as well. I had to learn how to not care, and I don't do great with not caring. Um, a trait where sometimes when I don't care about my piece always comes out beautifully. And there are other times where I can wiggle my fingers and I can like very distinctly poke at the piece and it'll come out really well. But I won't be doing it for the cause of making a really good piece. I'll be doing it because I think the piece looks funny.
Yeah.
Anything I do out of humor and I don't take seriously always comes out really well. And as someone who wants to, I don't know, evolve, it bothers me. But I also learn that letting go is part of that growth because it's something that you have to enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't make it become a job.
I accidentally made my my paper too short in the height, so I have to copy it over to a new document that's slightly taller in height.
Hmm. What program are you using?
Krita, the one I've been using basically my entire life because I don't own Photoshop.
I can actually help you to get a hold of Clip Studio. It's a great transition.
Yeah.
They actually have programs to help you learn animation, and
Yeah,
they also have programs to help you learn comic writing.
yeah, I've been meaning to learn animation for ages now. It's just that I don't have the time, honestly, as of right now. So,
Yeah, I would rather get better at I would rather get better at the flat work and better at working on commissions before I take on animation. But when I do take on animation, I feel like it would be better to be able to have a more refined art style before I start trying to take on animation. If that
yeah.
makes sense. I would love to do animation, and I probably will end up doing animation before I get a better art style because I'll probably get impatient. But you know,
Yeah, one of my goals eventually, which I think I've previously talked on my channel, is that I've been wanting to either animate or just draw special moments of just one of my D&Ds or like D&D characters on all that just because it's like I think it'd be fun just to show some of my fun things I've been doing in my free time.
I mean, because one of the other things is this, I've learned that I think I mentioned this before. It's some people believe that being a content creator is centered around obsession, when in reality it's more like it's centered around passion.
I mean, like there is a level of obsession to it.
There is because you constantly have to keep pushing at it, yes, but that's more of determination, I'd say. It's determination to make something surrounding your passion to push through, which I guess by definition is obsession. But like, on a lighter side.
Yeah. I mean, like at least with me, I've been basically recording nonstop and recording things nonstop. If you're part of the Discord, you would realize that. And then just suddenly I had a drop for like I had like a drop of 2 weeks just because personal stuff of things I've been doing in the real world, which is, like I said before, I've been working a little bit on making process of a video game that I may or may not release to the public as personal work and all that.
I look forward to playing it whenever it might release.
Yeah. At the very least, I can definitely send you the playtesting version, beta test version of it.
Well, I will feel lucky to play it, regardless if anybody else doesn't get to play it. And if no one else gets to play it, I'm a brag.
Yeah, there's a few other friends of mine that I definitely will be sending it to, just because they're like, hey, I want to play this thing.
I mean, of course. I mean, part of the other thing is that getting other people mixed involved, they have to understand that this has to take place of not just being a job. We're in a very strange world right now.
Yeah,
The world is in an odd place, but I feel like the best thing someone can do is we're in a strange place where either I feel like humanity will either get to the place where the only way to make money is by doing your passion. And I'm like, I know that sounds strange and very odd, but from the angle of that is actually wonderful, but also not really, because some people can't exactly always follow through with that passion.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I
But
would.
then there's the other,
I totally agree with you because I would love to just be able to be a YouTuber for full time, but I know I can't do that at the moment.
well, I mean, it's the idea of it's not necessarily that. Well, the reason why I say that is because yes, YouTube is something that a lot of people do. But when you look at it, there are people older than us who are doing YouTube, and because they've had more time to do that, or they had the idea to do that prior, that like before it was becoming a much larger scale thing. And I'm not saying YouTube's very recent. I'm saying that as of recent, it's becoming more frequent that people are realizing that it's something that they can do for money. It's not something that a lot of people realize they can have as a job, but there are people who want to change the world for the better, you know?
Yeah.
And they want to do it with passion and what they love to do. And it's with the understanding that there are these communities out there that they can build. And these communities are important to us. We
Yeah.
want to be, we want to have these people in our lives, and we want to have an impact on the world doing something we love.
Yeah.
And that's far more possible today than it's ever been. And I feel like, how do I put this? I'm not going to say the past generations failed to set our generation up, but they certainly didn't do us favors.
Yeah.
I'm not going to step all over the past generation, but we came from a generation of people that heralded from baby boomers. And baby boomers messed up our parents' generation. And before the baby boomers didn't have parents that messed their generation up. In fact, the baby boomers, they were the generation that really kind of shot the economy all over the world. I know I'm speaking money, but it's just a noting thing.
Matter of perspective, depending on who you ask, of course.
Yes, definitely a matter of perspective, but also I think us asking our parents wouldn't really affect that because our parents aren't really baby boomers. Our parents are also victims of baby boomers. So, I mean, they're victims, and yes, like I said, they come from baby boomers. But I feel like it is the job of the past generation to set the precedent for the future generation. You know?
Yeah.
And it's not the only job they have, but it is certainly a job they should take seriously. And I feel like it should be something that they take into account of even if they are living their own life. And unfortunately, that didn't happen with the last, or with the baby boomers. It happened with the last generation, I'd say, but they didn't have what they needed to be able to teach our generation because it wasn't given to them either. Not entirely, at least. It wasn't given to them. That doesn't mean they didn't figure it out. But my point is, they shouldn't have had to have just figured it out.
I don't.
Because think of all the people who didn't make it there. Think of all the people who had to fight and struggle through the dirt. It's a lot.
Now, I don't know about you, at least relating to my drawing. I am a sucker for shoulder pads on guard uniforms. Like every time
Shoulder pads are. Hmm.
like
Are,
every
are
time
they
I draw a guard, I just have to have the shoulder pads. Just shoulder pads.
are they like the piercing eye type of shoulder pad?
It's kind of like the one where it's like a circle with like a triangle coming off of it if you just take the base shapes.
Yes, that's what I meant by piercing eye. Piercing eye means they stick off like in a sharp shape.
Yeah, yeah.
Piercing eye shoulder pads are like the best,
Yeah, I just
to be completely honest. Because it's like formal, but it's formal, but it's also slightly intimidating. But it also tickles along the lines of, yeah, that's right. I know I look like this.
yeah.
It's a perfect balance.
Yeah. And then you can just kind of just see it and just be like, yeah, that's a shoulder pad. That's armor.
Why am I doing better outside of the drawing software than I am inside of the drawing software?
Mm,
Does the drawing software slow me down?
I don't know.
Very strange. As someone I know would say, the things that make you go, hmm. I also really need to learn how to do space colors.
Space colors, I kind of just always default to black, blue, and purple with a little bit of white.
I know that. It's the transition that makes me struggle a little bit. It's
Um,
blending all those colors together in a um way that works.
I know that there's certain like tools and stuff that kind of just work with that, but I just each different drawing system have a different tool and all that. But most common tools have at least some type of blender like that just automatically blends it. And there's also the opacity tool, which you can create a new layer or do something that's faint, merge layers together, and then kind of get that space effect.
Yeah, it's the blending tool that because most drawing softwares, you're right, will have blending tools. It's a matter of finding the right blending tool for me. Um, I don't know. I have a tendency to fight with my tools a lot, and then I find out that I really shouldn't be fighting with them.
Yeah,
That's a little bit of an issue on my end, though.
yeah.
Let's see here. Only there was a lighter blue for this.
Do you not
I
have
was using
the advanced color selector?
no, I'm not using I'm using the recording software's drawing
Um,
tool to see what I can make with it.
I suppose that that's certainly something.
That certainly would cause some problems.
I honestly, like, you're using a different program than I am, so.
Well, I'm not even using a program. That's the problem. When you see it in recording, when you see it in post, I think you'll be like, "What are you doing?
Probably.
Why would you even try to use this?" It does not look. It does not look great, to be honest. I don't know why I'm using this. It looks a lot better than it should, and it's funny because doing this lets me know that I can definitely draw a lot better, probably while talking. And I used to, that's the other reason why I was hesitant. I didn't think I would draw very well while talking.
Honestly, I just wanted
Um,
to do something that's just me quietly sitting and just just have music in the background and just doing absolutely nothing. So,
yeah, I find having very specific noise helps you to, because very specific noise helps to stimulate certain parts of your brain, especially if your mind associates it with it. For
yeah,
example, you know from being around me long enough that when I'm in certain environments, I can zone out even when I shouldn't be.
yeah, I've definitely noticed that about you.
For example, when like say D&D, in D&D, I kind of have to focus on D&D.
Yeah.
If I don't, I end up getting myself really hurt or something really bad happens.
Yeah, I think that's just the situation with most D&Ds, though. If you don't pay attention, you kind of just miss the important things that are happening.
That's true. But when it comes to something like talking to people, when I'm talking to people, I can talk and draw at the same time, but I can't do certain things. Like if I'm playing a really intense game, I can't talk to somebody about something specific and draw. Or and I sorry, and game. I can talk and game on an occasion, and I can talk and game over certain games, but there are some things that I can't do that for. For example, if I was playing Ultra Kill,
Hmm.
which I think that's fair because when I'm playing Ultra Kill, I'm not even making human noises. I'm just screaming happily, which makes it impossible to hold a conversation. But over something like, I don't know, this conversation, I'm able to draw perfectly. I drew something that came out pretty well with having only one pen tool and no blend or eraser. And I'm going to keep trying to make it better than it already is with the few tools that I have. And in fact, doing it like this actually makes me want to do this more because it makes me realize, wow, maybe I'm not as bad as I thought because with less tools, I do better, which is something you've probably heard me say before, way back before.
Yeah.
but I don't like want to always have to rely on less tools when I have a program that specifically takes advantage of having more tools.
Yeah.
Kind of, ruins the purpose of it.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. I can't seem to color normally. I've never been able to get flat colors.
I mean,
Flat
that's why I
colors don't,
always wanted to just color your things that you've made previously and just be like, I want to color this in.
I can't do colors very well. Like I can imagine colors where they go, but I can't actually do them. It's just not something I can really seem to do. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, like, at least with me, I can imagine, like, I feel like I'm a decent shader of roughly, like, where lights and darks go. Am I great at it? Not necessarily. But I can at least make something look really good just on pure shading alone.
I mean, I can do shading as well, but I can only shade black and white.
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference in ability there. I can shade, but only black and white.
At least with me, I
But
can.
then when it comes to flat colors, I immediately fall short, and I'm like, how can I not do flat colors?
I can color decently well with things. I just have to get. At least I can do kinda in on like pencil, but like once I'm in like an art program, I'm like perfect. I can layer on top of colors and get like the exact darker shade, and it looks great.
Well, let me show you what I'm working on, and then you can also see what tool I have, so you can understand what I'm talking about.
Which
Um, Hold on.
which you
It's
can just
going to
send
take
it
a
to me in DMs. The viewers on
yes,
my end obviously won't see it just because I'm only recording my
because viewers won't see it, but
your viewers will. Oh, that's like, so you're working on your own your background image,
yes, I'm working only on my background.
which
Oh my gosh.
I seriously got to make a background for my channel, but I haven't gotten put in bothering to do that at all.
Getting a background, it depends because this channel has a little bit of an issue where its name doesn't entirely match the character that's being used for it.
Yeah. I just have one of the YouTube's generic thing background just because I'm like I don't want to put time and effort putting in a background image because I have a million other things on my plate.
Well, that's true, but I mean, I don't I don't necessarily like have another monitor. This is all on my drawing tablet, and my drawing tablet, because it's another monitor, the screen is blank except for Dead Cells for some reason.
Mm.
I'm not sure why Dead Cells is on the screen. I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix that. I'm not sure how it got over here, but um, yeah, I have been. That's the other thing. I'm gonna have to make a second channel.
I mean, do you have to?
It's advisable.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're doing an art channel and a gaming channel, yeah, it's recommended. But at least with me, I've just been doing both on the same channel, just because as of right now, having both on the same channel kind of just works. And then once I have enough subscribers, I might potentially separate them out. But
I mean, the reason why I say that is because look at it this way. It's less about the fact that it's less about the personality and more about some people come to channels for one thing but are unwilling to be at that channel for another thing.
yeah,
I've seen it happen before where there are creators who die out specifically due to the fact that they want to do multiple things on one channel and it doesn't always work.
yeah, I've definitely seen that happen. But
That's why it's like I do like I have times where I do entire playthroughs. For example, I have Resident Evil 4 and I haven't a remake and I haven't played through it. But when I play through it, I intend to start doing full drawing streams and to record the VODs and put it on the channel.
hmm,
And I don't want those killing out the focus of what my channel is, if that makes sense.
yeah,
because my channel's a drawing. It's a drawing channel. It's a channel where I'm trying to learn different forms of art. And as I start to get a larger audience, I even intend to have audience goals. For example, say I reach 100 subscribers, I have to learn how to animate. Kind of a big jump, but still. Or no, more like I get 100 subscribers, I have to learn how to render, maybe.
And that's definitely a goal that you can eventually just figure out when the time comes.
Because I know how to render. It's a matter of doing it. That's a whole different story. Because
Maybe you could do
rendering it.
like a tutorial video on like you figuring out how to render or something.
Oh, I'm definitely going to have shots of me recording different parts. Because the other thing is that I'm also going to have to. I'm going to start video editing too. Because once I start video editing, it's going to be me video editing the fact that I don't know how to render and I'm learning how to. The whole thing is going to be me learning how to render. And it's going to be me showing the long, drawn out process of me having to research and do all these different parts. It's going to be painful, but
So kind of like what I did for like various random tools that I've learned previously.
yes, exactly like that. It's just going to be a very long, drawn out process of me learning. And if the process takes longer than expected, then I will still learn. It just means that there's going to be a lot more recording to edit through.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But editing through all that will definitely pay off because it'll mean I'll know how to edit my videos better.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I got a basic head set up, and yeah, it's not very good, but here, let me just get you the heads of what I. This is the basic head. I haven't done any shading or anything, but it's something.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I can show you some tips later on head integrity. It depends on the head shape you're going for, but I can show you what I use as a reference whenever I'm working on heads.
Yeah, I mean for the most part I'm not like trying to do super amazing work. After all, this is something that I'm going to be trying to be finishing at the by the end of the month. So, I'm just trying to get at least something there in like as a placeholder for the time being and then having people figure out if it's any good or not and then going from there.
That's true. But
So,
that's also why I was like, I can help you get hold of Clip Studio if you want it.
yeah.
Because trust me, Clip Studio is very, very handy. Especially if you've been learning to use Krita. I used to use Krita. In fact, I think I had more finished pieces in Krita than I do Clip Studio, which is why Krita is such an important tool to use. Uh, and I kind of wish I used Krita more than I had used Clip Studio than when I finally started using it. Because let me tell you, Krita definitely does a great job of helping you learn how to actually use what app.
Yeah.
But along the way, you come to learn that sometimes it's not just the tools, it's understanding how to run the software.
Yeah.
It's all these other individual parts. I
Yeah.
don't know. Sometimes it seems like a lot more is going on.
Yeah, I can definitely get that sense sometimes.
That's why it took me so long to really motivate myself to get into digital, even if I have already done really good digital pieces. Because it's like if I've done if I've done physical pieces that are way better, it's extremely unmotivating.
Yeah. Which I'm
Even if the pieces
I'm
pop
sorry about
off.
the background noise if it's coming through.
No, I don't hear the background. I mean, I hear like an occasional like noise, but it's so quiet I can't tell if it's my computer or if it's something actually happening.
Yeah. It's just I'm in a public, somewhat public space while doing this, so
Hmm, gotcha. Right, connection. Right. I got lucky enough to get the router here replaced.
yeah. Can't wait to actually go back to my little studio that I have set up once it's because it's in the process. That's for sure.
You know what I could do?
What?
I can move that dresser that has nothing in it into the closet. And I know that sounds silly, but I'm not using the closet either.
Why are you not using your closets?
I mean, I am, but like, am I really?
That I don't know.
All I ever do to go to get in my closet is to take stuff that's hung up. And if it's just hung up stuff, I can literally sit on the dresser to grab the stuff in the closet.
That sounds kind of ridiculous.
Listen, there's nothing on the floor of the closet, so like, I gotta use the floor for something.
Yeah, but like I to be fair, like I use my closet for like the storage of just random things, so I don't blame you.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really have any use of because technically I have clothing in the closet, yes, but it's all hung up.
Yeah.
Oh no, I cleared it all. Oh no, no,
Did you clear your work?
that wasn't intentional. I meant to hit color, and clear's right next to color.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I'm so glad I'm recording.
Why did I suddenly think of Ultimate Custom Night where it's like the what was it, the little pink BB where it's like how unfortunate, how unfortunate.
Oh yeah, I should I should get that for whenever I'm working on something and I mess up the entire piece. But that's the other reason why I wanted a second channel is because if I ever got a second channel, it would give me a chance to because look at it this way. Do you know the VTuber Nuxtaku?
I do not.
So there's a VTuber named Nuxtaku out there who spent 8 years building his YouTube profiling. And he built his YouTube specifically through doing anime review videos. And now that he's taken off, he can basically do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And so he has two channels. One of them is his channel where he does whatever he wants, running game shows with VTubers, like actual VTubers that are well known and in companies. And obviously, he's pretty well known within that community, specifically due to the fact that he's this goofy guy that everybody knows, who he's not a clout chaser. He's just really well known. Even Charlie knows him. So he's pretty well known within his own community. He's even gotten into some drama here and there without him really actually being a problem. But the point is that he's getting to where he was. And yes, obviously after he took off, but that's not really the point. The point is that he became aware of the fact that he wanted to do more. And there are other people who run other content where they have multiple channels, but one of their channels is kind of their spare time channel for things they do on their free time.
Yeah. At least for me, when I if I ever have like get enough, I'm definitely gonna split off. I can't do that. But just mentioning VTubers, I do eventually want to create a VTuber and figure out how to set that up. But I have no idea. That's just another thing that I just don't have the time to exactly figure out quite yet.
I mean, I've learned about VTuber model makers in a very short period of time because on my Twitter, which check in the description below, um,
Which I'm probably not gonna link Twitter. Go check out his channel and check out the video, which you can find their Twitter somewhere. So, which I'm
yes.
definitely looking their
Um,
channel.
so on Twitter, I had the issue of I hollered out, "Hey, does anybody know any VTuber models?" And everybody, like, my DMs blew up. It was smited. It was very, very quickly. Like my DMs were just filled, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, what happened?" Turns out, um, they're desperate people, and I'm not going to say they're desperate, but they kind of are. Um, apparently, not many people are buying VTuber models, and the people who are already hired by people who have a VTuber model, which goes to say a lot. It says that the market is, I guess, unbalanced, maybe?
I mean, like,
I don't know.
there's definitely a certain market for certain types of artists and certain things. That's for sure.
That's for sure. But the reason why it threw me off is because I'm not really that well known. I don't have that many followers on Twitter. In fact, almost everybody on Twitter following me is someone that's already a personal friend or just a professional, like a channel that specifically makes art that happens to see that I'm a growing artist and got interested
Yeah.
and is following me almost purely for professional reasons. And so to see that many people pop up, and I'm like, whoa. It was a lot, and it was even more that one of the first things that was said to me when I had that posted on my own like question that I posted was, well, first of all, the first thing you're going to want to do is ignore everybody else who just messaged you because most of them are scammers.
Yeah. Why am I not surprised?
And I kind of found that pretty funny because the person who said that didn't even try to get a VTuber model. Didn't even try to get me to buy a VTuber model. Just let me know. And that was kind of funny to me. Like it was funny and absurd at the same time. And I'm like, well, I just made a friend and I wasn't trying to, but it was kind of funny how I made this friend. I mean, the guy does make VTuber models, but he didn't even try to offer. He was just like, ignore those other people because in this community, they're wild. But I don't know what the whole subculture is there. I only know about like actual VTubers. I don't know about VTube model makers.
Yeah.
So don't
I
murder me in comments.
there's definitely a program that I've tried to figure out how to set up and figure out. I don't really know how it works, and so I was just like, you know what, when I have time to like get it figured out and blah blah blah, I'm sure it'll be good, but
I mean, I'm aware that the software is very similar to like how you do VTuber rigs. And I'm aware of that because I have a friend who is a VTuber model maker, but they don't make models for anybody else. They only make them for themselves. And I was interested in doing VTuber modeling because I have friends in VTuber, like who have their own models. Like I have, and not even necessarily people who bought their own models, or I mean, because like some of them do. Some of them are literally like people who are voice actors for things and things. And due to that, they literally voice act their own model character, which is cool, really cool. But you know, I want to learn how to do that myself, and that's also one of the goals of my channel. Is that in the future, whenever it comes around, I want to make a VTuber model.
I'm slightly distracted by my thing. my proportions are off, but I just find it funny just because it's like my own personal little touch where it's like it looks human, but it's just oh so slightly off. Like you've seen my art in the past where it's like it looks perfect, but there's just that one slight off proportion that's not quite right that just makes it that perfect little impersonal, like that personal little thing.
Yeah, it's almost there, but not entirely.
Yeah, and that's what makes it adorable and great.
Oh man. The next thing I'm working on, after I get this commission that I'm working on done, I intend to start really focusing on working on my line work because I don't know if you've noticed, but your line work is better than mine.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it
I
is.
mean, like, I can, like, if you give me a base image, I can trace over it really well and find the exact placements of where things should be. But,
Well, that's true, but like, because I used to draw on chicken scratch, and you know that.
yeah.
But like, it would always come out really well in the end. But like, hold on, let me find an image. It might take a moment, but let me find an image of my line work. Okay, let me show you the original picture of the commission I was working on, and that way you can understand what I mean by my line work isn't always the best, and like you can tell that I understand proportioning somewhat, but there are some things that are making it difficult. For example, with like furry-esque drawings, I don't know how to do those. I really do not. Like I am not practiced in that type of drawing at all. But you can see that my line work is like there, but it's not entirely.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, it's
there's the
definitely there. It still sort of has that chicken scratch.
it's still chicken scratch, but the chicken scratch isn't great specifically due to the fact that it's, you know, digital. And when it's digitally chicken scratch, it doesn't look great, especially with the pen that I have.
I think part of the reason why I'm just so good at just having kind of doing things by rough eye and just being like, yeah, it's off, but I like it kind of thing is because when I was younger, which I think I probably talked to you about at least a little bit, always kind of had that. I always took images that I saw that I really liked, and I just like on my phone I would just draw like I would do it my best just to draw images by hand. Granted, when I try and draw things from life, it's not the greatest because I'm not used to it, but when drawing things digitally, I'm like, yeah, that looks pretty good because it's like I'm used to drawing things that I can just have by eye and just be like, yeah, I can just guesstimate roughly where things be.
Yeah, but like even so, what I'm saying is that the reason why digital art is so difficult for me is the idea of they say be confident in your strokes, but when I see other people in certain parts of their careers and I see the work that they do and I see their speed draws, I recognize, oh my god, I am nowhere near where you are.
Yeah, no, I never like one of the biggest rules that I always set out for myself is never like obviously you're gonna compare yourself to other people. That's just normal. But net like the number one rule I've learned is never compare yourself to other people. Just compare yourself to where you were a year ago, and then you'll see how much progress you've made.
Exactly, and that is something I have had to learn a lot, and that is something I've had to learn recently.
It's kind of like with running, where it's like if you run a mile every single day for a year, you'll be able to realize you're getting faster as you do it.
That is true, but with running, it was a lot different when I used to run a lot. And I know because you remember I ran marathons.
Yeah.
For me, running is a lot. For me, running is a lot different because when you're running, it depends on what's happening at that time.
Yeah.
It depends on what started you to run. For example, say you have to run, which was my case. I didn't really have that much of a choice to run. It eventually started off with me really having to run, And the next thing I knew, I was just running. But take a different circumstance, for example. Um, Hold on. I am not really happy with what just happened with the ear here. Take a different circumstance, for example. I can't think of a different
But yeah,
circumstance. I'm sorry. I ran out of ideas.
I mean,
I'm just
you could always swap characters and just do something else.
that's true. I'm just mortified by what happened to the skull. But with running, like I said, running was a lot different. It wasn't just because I had to, though. What it eventually ends up happening is there's first you have to, and then eventually it goes from you have to you're doing it every day and you're not really thinking about it. And there are a lot of things that you can come that you at first you don't really like, and eventually that dislike disappears. Like a lot of the process. And I've come to learn that you're right. There is a dislike for certain things that normally you would like, and you have to dislike it first before you like it. That's the same thing with that's a fact that goes with almost anything.
Yeah, exactly. You just gotta learn eventually just to like your own stuff. Just like I hate the sound of my own voice, but now that I've been doing this for almost 2 years now, I've been getting used to it, and I'm just like, I'm not a huge fan of it, but like, yeah, I'm fine with hearing my own voice now, at least on a regular basis.
Hmm. I mean, I can see that. It's just,
The voice that I hear on screen compared to what I hear in my own head is not the same. That's part of the reason why I hate it so much.
gotcha. I was a bit puzzled. You may not like your voice, but
So many
how many
people have
people seem
said.
to really like your voice?
I think like let's see here. There's been like 5 different people, maybe more. Actually, no way. I think 5, maybe 6 that I can actively recall that say, yes, I like you and your voice is amazing. And it's
Hmm.
just like, I don't understand why they like my, like, as one of them said, like, oh, your voice is like a siren. I'm like, I sure, but like, I don't see it that way.
That may be the case, but if I were to explain it this way, coming from me, your voice is familiar.
I mean, yeah, we've known each other for like 8 years now.
Yes, your voice is familiar, and as a result, your voice automatically makes me know I'm talking to someone that I can tell almost anything to.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not the same thing as it is with other people, but it is, I know this person. This person actually knows me.
Mm,
Granted, that can be said the same with anybody else who actually knows me, but there aren't that many people.
yeah.
Other people, I've been told that people like my voice. I don't see it either.
I think there's at least one coming to me. Like, I think I kind of have the same sort of thing where it's like, it's familiar and there's just something just naturally soothing about it. It's kind of like like, the best way to describe it, you have the perfect podcast voice.
I'm told I have the perfect DJ voice.
Yeah, DJ also works. Basically, like,
As in,
t-
well, I was gonna voice act something. As in, hello everyone, welcome to the Grand World Tournament.
yeah,
Something
exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing it myself, I don't even notice it.
Mm,
But that's because it's ours. It's in our life every day. We never notice that.
yeah.
It's much easier to dislike something about yourself than to like something excessively about yourself because we're not narcissists.
Yeah, that is very much true.
It's the only way I can really think to say it. We don't really think of things that way, and as a result, we're not like constantly like, yeah, yeah, this is how I sound.
Except for people maybe like Markiplier or something, who just been
Well,
doing it for years.
people who know it, people who know they have it, who've been doing it for such a long time and can go and just have fun with it.
Yeah,
But they have
exactly.
experience and they have development and they have the growth of having been doing something that involves that particular part of them for a long time.
Yeah,
With us, it's just we've had it and we've never really realized it.
yeah,
Like we haven't necessarily been doing anything with it, and even if we haven't realized it that either.
yeah.
So it's I don't know. It's also the weird thing where I may never reveal my voice on my face on my channel. I eventually might,
I mean, you
but you
revealed
know
your
that
voice on your channel.
yeah, I've reviewed my voice, but I might not ever review my face. But the people who know me say I have the most comical facial expressions.
Yeah, you really do have a really funny face at sometimes.
Like they say that when I'm alarmed or when I'm impressed or when I'm just like, whoa, that my facial expressions like almost immediately make people laugh.
Yeah,
So
I could see that.
like I'm smiling, my eyes are wide, my eyebrows are raised, my eyes are poking out slightly out of shock. I'm like, what?
Yeah,